Hi everybody, Inspector Tom with Codes to Know, where we are saving the world one code at a time. Today we're going to be talking about framing, and more specifically we're going to be talking about how the framing is attached to your foundation. And for the most part, gravity does a pretty good job of holding it in place, but there are certain events and conditions where you want to make sure that it's absolutely secured. We're going to learn what the International Residential Code has to say about that, and we're going to cover this many codes in that short a period of time. So let's roll. So that bottom horizontal board, that's a sill plate or a sole plate. That thing's got to have a couple of different characteristics. It needs to be resistant to decay. So either it's a natural wood that's listed by the IRC, or most commonly it's pressure treated lumber. Next, the concrete that the sole plate's sitting on has to be level. The fasteners that are used to attach the sole plate to the foundation, they need to resist corrosion. So zinc coated galvanized, stainless steel, those are a couple of examples. At all exterior walls, sole plates need to be attached using anchor bolts. These pictured power fasteners, they don't have the same characteristics as an anchor bolt and are not an equivalent substitute for an anchor bolt. Anchor straps can be used, they just have to provide the same anchorage capacity as a regular 1/2 inch diameter bolt. So what does the IRC have to say about the dimensions of anchor bolts? A couple of things. Minimum 1/2 inch in diameter, minimum or not less than 7 inches into concrete. So where do the anchor bolts go relative to the sole plate? This is where the IRC gets really specific, is that it's got to be in the middle third of the board. Okay, pretty straightforward. Next, there needs to be at least 2 anchors per board. The anchors need to be located within 1 foot of each end, but not closer than 7 bolt widths. Okay, 7 bolt widths. Well, let's assume that they're using a 1/2 inch bolt times 7, so they don't want the bolts within the first 3.5 inches, but not more than 12 inches from the end. So we know now that there's a minimum of 2 bolts per board, but the IRC also specifies that there should never be greater than 6 feet apart. Let's run through a couple scenarios. Let's say you've got a 4-foot long sole plate. Where would you expect the anchor bolts to be? 1 on each end, right? Paying attention to that rule where it's within the first 12 inches, but not closer to the end than 7 times the width of the diameter. Most commonly, the diameter of the bolt is a 1/2 inch, meaning somewhere between 3.5 inches and 12 inches on each end. So let's say that you've got a 10-foot long sole plate. You've got an anchor bolt on one end of it. You got another anchor bolt on the other one. You've got a span of at least 8 feet between them. So you're expecting to see a third anchor bolt drop somewhere in the middle of that. One requirement that I'm sure seems super obvious but is wrong on a regular basis is that every foundation anchor bolt needs to have a washer and nut, and they need to be tightened. Without going down a rabbit hole of what braced wall panels are and how to identify them, know that they are structural supports that really help reinforce the overall building. Now, most commonly, you're going to see metal strapping similar to what you're seeing now, or you're going to see wood at 45 or 60 degrees cut in the same manner. That usually means that you're looking at a braced wall panel. Know that braced wall panels, even if they're on an interior wall, need to have anchor bolts as well. The vertical studs resting on the sole plate, they should have full bearing. In other words, they should be completely seated on top of that sole plate. During the construction process, your framers are going to make cuts, notches, drilling holes, all kinds of stuff to that pressure treated lumber. Know that it should be field treated to help protect it against decay and wood destroying insect. This step is often missed or done really poorly. I'm not going to go into the hurricane and seismic areas. Just know that those standards are out there and they're really robust and they are much more stringent than what you're seeing here. Your contractors that are putting in the foundation, they're going to have a really tough time anticipating every single place that those framers are going to need a foundation anchor. A different type of anchor or anchoring strap can be used as long as it's approved and it provides an equivalent amount of anchorage potential as the original anchor bolts do.
Know that when the drywall shows up, you're running out of time to get these issues addressed. Once that drywall's installed, these issues are buried behind a wall and they're most likely not getting fixed. Follow and subscribe. Full content found on YouTube.